Hello and welcome everybody to Yvonne's Seaside Cottage. It's a miserable day here on the coast and I still have a nasty cold. However, I thought we would catch up and see how I was progressing with Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, Volume 8, Gathered Things. So I've made a start. I got a bit behind really, but anyway, I've decided to take out of a leaf out of Corinne and Tears from Calm Creations and just do small blocks, and then I'll attach them at a later date. So the first prompt is my favourite doily, and this is one of my favourite doilies. So lovely blue, little daisies. I popped in a little picture of some children because the quilt's going to be for my granddaughter Miss Ruby, so I kind of would like it to be a series of portholes, being the beach side, looking into different aspects of beach life. Whether I can pull it off or not, I don't know, but however, on Canva I've been having a little play in Canva, which is quite an exciting thing. I'll see if I can pull it up. I did have it pulled up and then the internet went down for some oddball reason, as it does, you know, things happen. So on Canva, I'll just pop this under here, I made a little picture of some children playing in a porthole scene. And that's kind of where I'm trying to go with this, not necessarily all with beach scenes, but how I'm going to achieve the look of the porthole is yet to be acquired. It's yet to be thought about. But at any rate, I'm thinking of a plain background or even a timber sort of looking background with little portholes of stories on the Gathered Things Ruby, I'm going to call it the Gathered Things Ruby Quilt. Well, that's the idea, but whether I can pull it off or not, I have no idea. I'm certainly going to try and have a lot of fun while I'm at it. So that's the idea. So this is my first little porthole, which will eventuate. I've still got a little bit to do on this one. I've got to put some little bit of ribbon through there and some more little French knots, and here are very faint French knots which I might elaborate on. This is a printed off a card that I have. I'm a bit of a collector of playing cards, so I've actually printed that on a piece of cotton. Now if you're ever going to print on cotton, I've just got a plain inkjet printing machine. So if you're ever thinking that you might want to do that and are worried about the ink running, you can actually spray it from a distance with a bit of hairspray, you know, the firm set variety, leave it to completely dry and spray it a fair bit away. And the other thing I use for my watercolours is this Krylon matte finish. You need to hold it a distance away and it will give a protective matte finish. It dries very quickly, but it is quite expensive, and I found that hairspray at a pinch does work, but this is a very good product. It stops fading and all those sorts of things that you would worry about. Now, some of the inspiration I thought I would just share with you. I'm a bit of a collector of... Oh, Charlie, you've got a little bit of something. You okay? Right. These are my little vintage things that I collect, and they're quite cute. Just when I see playing cards or postcards or, oh dear, it must be that time of day. But there's some really pretty images in there. So I'm able to print them on to some fabric and use them in the quilt, which is really quite nice. There's all sorts of different ones. I actually even really like this sort of beach scene here as well. Yeah, so lots of them. And these are some of my favourite. These are very old vintage cards, but they are so cute. And this is actually a card, would have been from Sydney, I think. It took me a long time to manage to get that. She's a bit damaged, but I really love her. It's kind of the 60s, 50s, 60s. This little image really looks like Miss Ruby. She has very dark eyes and very similar. So cute. Here's a little brother and sister, and she's patching his trousers. But patching the patch on while he's still wearing the pants, which could be dangerous. And then these two little ones, the Lux soap. So yeah, whenever I see these come up, I tend to collect them a little bit. I just pop them in these. I sometimes just really like to look through them as well. This is a cute image. These are chocolate cards from France. And the person that has these, she's called Tates Vintage, and she's on Facebook. Another couple. I won't bore you for too much longer with them. These Baker boys, they're quite cute. I think we did that, didn't we? Yeah. So that's those. So that's where I get quite a bit of my imagery from, and they're quite easy to collect, and they don't take up much room. And these are the postcards. Yeah, these are the chocolate cards. They must have come with the chocolate. That's Cinderella. This one's quite cute. Yeah, just these are lovely. I really like these. They're gorgeous. And then you can just take them out and print them on your fabric. That's another lovely one. I'm a bit fond of poppies. All the ladies. Little something they're called. It's all in French, so I have no idea. Perfume label. And these were also, I think these were also chocolate labels. I might be wrong, but yeah. More soap labels. And then these are silk. Yeah, so they're a bit of fun to collect. Good bit of fun. Right, enough digressing. So the next thing is the favourite thrifted. So I have made a start. I'm actually going on holiday next week for our winter holiday, so that could be really interesting. So I'll have plenty to take with me. And we probably won't have any reception because we're going overseas, so I'll try and take some footage. So I've just found this. This is all thrifted. This is a really nice little doily. It has a few holes in the middle there. I thought, well, I can sort of stitch around and stitch these little bunnies on there. All this is a thrifted piece of fabric. And this is a lovely piece of tatting. It's very plain, and the amount of work that would have gone into that is unbelievable. So that's going to be my thrifted panel. And that fabric was from So Be Created. I'm sorry, ladies, I just don't know on her website where it is, but if you look her fabric under Bunnings, and it's just gorgeous. Look at these little bunnies. They are so cute. And the really interesting thing that I like about this fabric is you've got bunnies facing that way, and then you've got big bunnies and little bunnies, and then you've got a bunny facing that way and then bunny facing the other way, which is really interesting to be able to use that in a project. So that's my kind of take on it. Whether these bunnies stay where they are, I have no idea. I might shift them around yet. However, I do remember one of the art ladies saying to me, "Oh, you can't have just one. You can't have two, you have to have three. There has to be an uneven amount of objects." So, yeah, okay. We may have one or we may have three bunnies. So, favourite fabric. Now, this was a hard one. So, for the favourite fabric, I have picked this bark cloth. And I was thinking that I would probably thread plaint it. I just love it. And I looked up bark cloth. I originally got this cloth because I didn't know what bark cloth was. And I got it from purveyor of fabrics down in Melbourne. She's on Instagram. And I thought, oh, I'm just going to get a bit of that because I have no idea. Thinking that it was, you know, back in the day, I remember Mum came back from Fiji and she bought a bark-made cloth that was actually made of bark. And I thought that that's probably what this is. But no, it's a very intensely woven cotton that they used in textiles for curtaining and upholstery and that sort of thing. Tablecloths, all sorts of things. But I just love the design on this. It's vibrant and sketchy, and so I've chosen that bit. But my poor old ring little thing here, I really should invest in another one, but it seems to work quite well. But the really good thing about this is you can pop around your fabric. And I even quite like this little bit here. Like, you know, how do you choose on a piece of fabric like this? Really, but you can just sort of, I don't want to go any bigger than this. This is as much as I can handle. I've never made a quilt before, so, and then even that is a beautiful seam. So maybe the thrifted or the favourite fabric will appear in a couple of spots. But that's just lovely, isn't it? Like that actually looks a bit almost of the vibrant tropical flowers that we do have here. So that's my dilemma at the minute. So that's the favourite fabric. And an old quilt, I am onto it. I don't actually have many old quilts. It's not something I have a lot of. However, I did have this really old piece, which is just incredible. When you look at the other side of this, how this is made. I don't even know where this came from. I have no idea. I think it was in a bag of scraps. But the work in it, I know it's not hand sewn, but regardless, all these little triangles, and they are perfectly put together. But you've kind of got in this section here, if I fold that, you've got kind of a bit of a beachy vibe, really, there. So there's that option. And then the other option I have is this piece here, which is quite nice. It has a lovely backing on it. I'm using, this is a very soft cotton wadding, and it's especially for people like me that have allergies, so I can work with it and not be sniffing and snuffling the whole time I'm doing it. It's actually made in the USA, that one. So yeah. So I'll detach it from the back. The back's actually also very pretty. But in here is the piece of wadding they've used, and it just compared to this woven cotton one feels very synthetic, but I won't. So that's where I'm at with it. This will just be a very short video because I'm still not particularly well. But, you know, kind of just to get a start. So with this one here, I'm kind of leaning a bit towards this one. It's sort of girly and pretty, and yeah, I'm kind of thinking that this is really quite nice. Do I have an image? Oh, possibly. Yeah, so I can probably, I'm thinking, which it doesn't pay to do too much of. I've got a bunch of that I've pulled out of different doilies that, and I do have a bunch of them. A lot of them are really, you know, old and stained. I mean, that one, although I love it, is got all little holes in it. It's really stained, and it's actually got burn marks in it, but still, regardless, it got rescued. So, you know, I'm thinking that maybe, oh, this is another lovely bit of tatting. You know, you could have a nice, that sort of bit of tatting there. Is that around the right way? I think it might be. I think that is tatting. I'm not really too sure if it is or isn't. I think so. And then you could have, you know, I want to keep these very simple. And as a child, this is what we did. We'd get on our bikes, we'd have a little trolley or a sidecar or a go-kart, and we'd stick the brother and sister in it, and off we'd go on a little mission. So yeah, so you could have something like that sort of in the middle there. That's kind of where I'm going with that. But I actually think that's actually quite cute. Yeah, I think that it would be really cute. And have that as the piece of old quilt. Now I did get this piece of quilt. I got it with some blanket, and I think she was an Etsy seller, and she popped in some quilt pieces for me. The bottom drawer, I think that's what she was called, the bottom drawer on Etsy. I'll have to look it up. I'll put it in the description. Yeah, so yeah, I think that could be quite cute. So that's where I'm going with all of these things. I'll pop that out of the way. So that's my 4 prompts at the moment. So what I thought I might do now is, I've only got just a small little bit on here to do, and I have this gorgeous silk ribbon, which I have got all the creases out of with my straightening iron, a hair straightener. But in this little tea box, which I just love, I picked this up in an op shop, and it's got like fabric on there, and it would have had all different teas in it, and I just had my ribbons. And if I can't find a colour, I call this my lucky dip of ribbons. And if I can't find a colour, and on, I think she's called Marion's World. Marion shows you how to dye these, but I have some white ribbon, and you can get some little ink and just run it through the ink pad and dye your ribbon, because I'm nearly actually out of blue and pink. So yeah, so I just keep all my little ribbons that I get, all my silk ribbon in that little box. I know it looks awful keeping it like that, but I find that's the easiest way, just to keep it. So, and this is a, I'll put the description where the ribbon came from in the description box. I'm sorry, I'm not thinking straight today. I have this terrible cold that I can barely get rid of. Hopefully by next week, when I go on my holiday, it will have all gone. There we go. So yeah, I just get the hair straightener and straighten the ribbon. And a Chanel needle, I think it's the number 20 that I've got here. Well, I did have one. It's gone Powwow Walkabout, which is a bit annoying. Oh no, here it is, look. So I just got a little short one. I'll find the end of this somewhere. Oh, that's got a knot in it. That's very annoying. Oh, that'll be alright. That can be the end of the piece, actually. And it's got a knot in it. It'll be alright. We can go with that. Pop this over here. Am I in the frame? Yeah, there you go. Never pays to put a needle down, does it? Because they go walkabout. Here we go. Look. So yeah, this will just be a really very short video, just as a catch up. I've only just got my voice back. It's been the most awful flu season. It really and truly has. Thread that through there. Did I get it through? No, of course you didn't, Yvonne. You probably should have threaded this before. I couldn't really decide what colour blue I was going to wear. This is a tiny, tiny ribbon. I think it's like 1 millimetre or something like that. Get that a good pull. So up here I've just threaded the ribbon through the top there and done little French knots. So we're going to do the same down the bottom here. No idea what it'll look like. So for the first one, just to anchor it, I'm going to go through the back of there. Here we go. Give it a bit of a pull. It does make a difference if your ribbon is, this is a bit too long, this ribbon, but anyway, is pressed. I don't like ironing things much, but ribbon, I like it to be pressed. Are you going to curl on me? No, you're not. Of course you're not. There you go. So this is variegated. So we're going to get a nice variation. Oh, there's a little very wet birdie out there looking for some dinner. I'm going to get him some in a minute. He's saying, I'm wet and I'm cold. Can you feed me? I don't know what sort of birds they are. Well, I thought that they were a nectar-eating bird, but they really like the mints. So they're obviously not a nectar-eating bird, I wouldn't think. Might be an insect eater. It's the tiniest little holes here to thread it through. And my poor old eyes at the minute aren't that good from this head cold. I think it made it worse going on the plane because it blocked my ears. Probably a good thing, really, isn't it? You don't have hair too much. Just thread this through. This won't take very long to do. That's what I love about ribbon. It fills up a hole really, really quickly. Yep. See, now that's making a really nice little feature. Here we go. So much fun. I like doing all these little decorative bits that, you know, when you get to the end of something that you're sewing. What I outlined the frame with just around here, because otherwise you're ending up with just a square image like that, is I just cut out a bit of, actually I think it was a bit of RJOS fabric. I just cut that out and framed it. Just sewed a frame around the outside. It does, when you spray the printed fabric with the matte finish, it does make it a little bit more difficult to get the needle through, just warning you. But then your image doesn't fade. And this feels like, you know when you used to get the kids' books? That's what it feels like. It feels like the kids' books that you get, which is quite a nice feeling. I love the feeling of that fabric, printed on fabric of the old-fashioned children's books. And where are we going to go here? I've kind of twisted it over. Well, we'll make it work. It gives a lovely decorative edge. And plus it's fun to do, and you don't have to think about it too much, which is kind of like, you know, the mindfulness of slow stitching. Just being in the moment, creating and enjoying. Hoping to get the dogs out for their final, we don't say walk because they all jump to attention and get very excited. We say we're going for a skip, and they haven't learned that word yet, which is quite, sorry, I'm probably out of frame here, chattering away. Well, last time I spoke to you, we had the story of the marvellous male. Well, we probably should have the story of the fantastic female this week. Oh, when I was down in Bathurst, my daughter asked me to go and do some errands in her car, which is just a little runabout car that they use. They've got the bigger car, and then they have the little runabout car that they just, you know, whiz around in. Up the street. Now, up the street in Australia could mean I've learnt now to ask exact directions of where up the street is, because you could end up going 50 k's down the road. Anyway, apparently the local shops were just up the street. You just go up the street and around the corner. So off I go in this little car that was a manual of all things, and I haven't driven a manual for 7 years. We always used to have a manual out on the farm for towing and getting us out of fixes and bogs and all sorts of things, and snow. So a manual was really good for that. But I was quite grateful in my last car that I got an automatic, and I just went, oh well, you know, I've kind of had enough of driving a manual car. So anyway, I get in this thing. Oh my goodness. The clutch just came out and just about hit you in the knee. So I had to kind of get the hang of that, and they were behind me, and I thought, well, I don't really want to bunny hop. How embarrassing to be bunny hopping down the road. They'll be thinking, oh gosh, this woman's just definitely past it. So anyway, I get to the shop and park up and go in and get the things on the list, and out I come. Hop in the car, and it's one of those cars where reverse, you have to push it down and lift it up and push it forward. You know, like you push it down and then you lift it up and you push it right forward. So I thought I'd done that, but I hadn't. And it was in first. And this wretched car, where do I want to go now? I need to come back down through here. Okay, so I might end that off there. So yeah, that's made quite a pretty little running stitch along there, just for a bit of something different. And it's in a slightly different colour, and then you come into the darker blue there. Yeah, I like it. That's good. That'll do. Anyhow, I get in this car and it was in first. Well, it bunny hopped forward. I'm just going to tie this on the back. See all the lovely little zigzaggy bits on the back here. And jumped the gutter. I nearly had heart failure. I thought this car's going to go through a shop window or something. You know, it's one of those ones where the windows were right up by where you park your car. So that's okay. I went, oh, well, I've got to obviously just not that again. Try a bit harder with this reverse, and eventually I got the darn thing in reverse. And as I did, it started to beep. I thought, oh, well, that's what normally happens. And so I eventually managed to back out of the parking lot. It was still beeping. I thought, oh, I cannot still have this car in reverse. Anyway, it beeped all the way home. I thought, I'm just going home. I'm parking this car in the driveway, and I've had enough of it. So get home, and I go inside. I said, I don't know what's happened to your car, but it won't stop beeping. And she said, what do you mean it won't stop beeping? I said, well, I finally managed to get it into reverse. I wasn't going to fess up that I'd had a terrible time with it. But it's beeping at me. My daughter said to me, you didn't happen to, I'm just going to sew a little bit along the top here, and she said, oh, you didn't happen to put your bag on the seat, did you? You know, your shopping bags and that. And I said, oh, as a matter of fact, I did. She said, oh, well, it sets off the seatbelt alarm that there's someone sitting in there without their seatbelt on. I thought, oh, thank goodness for that. I thought I'd ruined this car. So that was it. They asked me to go shopping again. I said, no, I'm not going in that car. I'm very sorry. I'm just past it. So, yeah, that was my fantastic female story. So my days of driving a manual car are over, I'm afraid. Charlie, please, stop. Just stop. He's lost his ball. Oh my goodness. We're nearly finished here anyway. So now I'm going to go back under. So nice to hold this lovely padding in your hands, actually. It's very nice to You'll have to excuse my nails. I'm going off to get them done for our holiday, so I've just left them until I can go and get them done. I usually do them myself, but I thought, oh, I'll treat myself. I'm going on holiday. I'm just going in these little flowers. There's little flowers there. And so let's do some little French knots in there, if I can. I'm not going to get the... do I want 2? Oh, no, let's go all out and do a 3. Charlie, please stop. Here you go. There's a little French knot in there. And I'm just going to travel along through the back of here. Travel along through the back of there till I get to the next French knot. And come up. It's quite good actually. If you really wanted to hide all your work, you can travel it along the back in the wadding. Here we go, and they kind of got all different colours really. Now we've got quite a gap there, haven't we? Hopefully we've got enough ribbon. Oh, we'll make it enough. Oops. No. Take it out and then come up. Might be a bit boring watching this, but anyway, I hope you are all doing well. And oh gosh, they're up to something, these two. And you're all healthy. We've had a very bad bout of health so hopefully this, not that it isn't sunny here, it's actually quite nice and sunny here in the winter, but we're off to some sunshine, which will be very nice. A couple more of these to do, and then I think we're pretty much done on this. I might do, if I can find some olive green, I'm thinking with this very fine French knots there, I might actually do in like an olive green. So that, and then that'll be that one finished. There you go. Oh gosh, I'll be lucky to get through that one, I think. Oh no, look at that. You never know till you try. Definitely we're going to run out of ribbon. It's probably fairly boring watching me do this. But it does have a lovely effect. Yeah, so I think that's quite nice. Where's the other one? There. Ooh, we're probably not going to quite make it. 2 left there. I always get to the end and then I think I'm going to get another one. So I might just do 2. Oh, yes, we've got 2. And then we might have room just for one more. Right. Well, sometimes if you can just poke it back through and not quite pull it with the ribbon, you can even get the same sort of effect. There you go, I cheated. I'm just going to knot this off and go back under it. The needle's going to be too big to come round through, so snip it off. Snip, snip. Here we go. Oh, don't you hate that? Yeah. I think I need to probably go and invest in another little pair of these scissors from Kaiser Clara. Here we go. Pull that back a bit. shove that through the knot. And more fingers and toes today. The old arthritis is not being my friend. There we go. Alright, let's knotted that off. If we turn it over, there you go. You've got a nice little bit of stitching there. Still got 2 to do down the end there. Well, that really did pull through, but anyway. I'll have to thread it up and do a bit more. Alright, well, hooroo for now. I just thought I'd have a quick catch up. Hope you're all well and you all have an absolutely fantastic week. I'll see you next time with a bit more progress. Bye!